Imagine, for a second, that you are walking through the grandest museum in the universe.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Right. So picture a structure the size of a continent. It's just floating in space, and it's dedicated entirely to the history of your own survival.
Wow.
Yeah, and you are walking past these glowing holographic plaques, towering monuments carved from asteroid glass, statues of alien diplomats locking hands in eternal peace. I mean, every single exhibit tells the story of how you, your family, your entire civilization came to be.
It sounds incredibly secure, like a testament to lasting peace.
Exactly. It feels safe. It feels completely known. But then you stumble into a locked, dusty sub-basement room beneath that shimmering museum.
Where they hide the real stuff.
Yeah, you find a single encrypted drive, and on it is the undeniable, terrifying proof that the entire museum above you, like the whole narrative you built your reality around, is a carefully constructed 5,000-year-old lie.
That is just a massive cognitive dissonance right there.
And worse, you realize the architects of that lie were your own ancestors. They purposely scrubbed the true saviors of your universe from existence.
That imagery perfectly captures the sheer scale of what we're exploring today. We are pulling excerpts from a staggering sci-fi saga called The Forgotten Guardians of the Silent Galaxy.
Yes, and I'm so excited for this deep dive.
It's a huge one. Our mission today is to tear apart this epic narrative of survival, really dig into the mechanics of a galactic scale betrayal, and, chart the reality-bending return of a humanity that just refused to stay buried.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we're talking about how vast, comfortable societies rewrite history to soothe their own insecurities, right?
Right, leaving themselves entirely vulnerable when the past finally comes knocking.
To really grasp the scale of this self-delusion, we have to look at the universe as it exists at the start of the text.
Which is quite the setup.
It really is. We are dealing with a galactic council ruling over billions of civilizations. You have thousands of different species trading, exploring distant stars, building megastructures.
They're essentially living in what they firmly believe is the absolute pinnacle of enlightenment.
But it's an engineered ignorance. For 5,000 years, just mentioning the word Earth was dismissed as like the ultimate tinfoil hat conspiracy theory.
The erasure was methodical. I mean, the council didn't just casually forget humanity.
Right, it wasn't an accident.
Not at all. The databases were mathematically scrubbed using recursive algorithms. These were designed to hunt down and delete any digital footprint of Earth.
Even the physical stuff, right?
Yeah, physical monuments were pulverized into atomic dust. The council created this hermetically sealed cultural reality where humanity literally never existed.
They built a utopia on top of a ghost.
That's a great way to put it.
This perfect little bubble pops in the most horrific way imaginable. We're introduced to the sudden arrival of a threat known as the Devourers.
A terrifying concept.
Seriously. And they don't show up and broadcast a declaration of war. They just appear at the very edge of known space, and they just start consuming.
The methodology of the Devourers is vital to understanding the panic that follows. The text is, it's very explicit about their nature.
They aren't an empire looking for territory.
Right. They do not conquer territories. They don't harvest resources to transport back to some central homeworld. They're essentially a swarm of macro-scale von Neumann probes.
Self-replicating machines.
Exactly. They consume worlds atom by atom. They break down the molecular bonds of planets, oceans, cities, and citizens, and turn that raw matter into more of themselves.
To me, this reads like a cosmic gray goo scenario, or like a viral infection that scales up to the size of solar systems.
It's a perfect analogy.
It doesn't just kill the host. It hijacks the host's very cells to manufacture more of the virus. And the math on that is just terrifying.
Exponential growth is always terrifying when it's a threat.
Yeah, if one machine makes 2 and 2 make 4, within 50 years, thousands of civilizations just vanish.
The existential terror here stems from facing an enemy that fundamentally cannot be reasoned with.
You can't negotiate with the virus.
Right. And the Galactic Council is a governing body optimized for bureaucracy. I mean, they are experts in diplomacy, trade sanctions, treaties, conventional warfare.
Stuff where the opposing side has recognizable political objectives.
Exactly.
But wait, with billions of civilizations, how did the Council's investigation fleets just vanish without a trace? Does this point to extreme arrogance on the Council's part?
Oh, absolutely. Exactly. That kind of arrogance is born from supreme insulation. When a governing body has been the undisputed master of the galaxy for 5 millennia, the institutions themselves lose the muscle memory for actual existential dread.
They forgot how to be scared.
Yeah. You assume every problem is a manageable anomaly. If we extrapolate this, it asks you, the listener, to consider how any modern society handles threats that fall outside established playbooks.
Like when something totally unprecedented arrives.
Exactly. Whether it's a cosmic swarm or, a novel global crisis, the first instinct of the establishment is almost always to apply conventional tools.
And when you apply conventional tools to an unconventional threat, the result is total systemic collapse.
Which is exactly what happens. The modern galactic weapons, the lasers, the plasma torpedoes, are entirely useless against a swarm that just breaks the weapons down into raw atoms and eats them.
They're basically shooting food at the enemy.
Yeah, pretty much. So the Council is suddenly staring down the barrel of total extinction. Their survival playbook is completely empty.
So they are forced to look where they haven't looked in 5 millennia. Backward, down into the forbidden archives.
Which introduces us to Valen.
Yes, the elderly historian. I love this part. As the panic spreads and the border systems go dark, he is deep beneath the central planetary archives.
He's physically bypassing the digital networks.
Because he suspects the truth is hidden in analog or at least heavily isolated formats, right?
Right, because the digital networks were scrubbed by those recursive algorithms we talked about.
The juxtaposition there is striking. The entire galaxy is burning, trillions are panicking, and this old academic is down in the dark, blowing dust off heavily encrypted 5,000-year-old physical drives.
And what he finds completely shatters the Council's reality.
He uncovers records showing human fleets, a species everyone thought was a fairy tale, defeating an earlier version of these exact same devourers.
And it isn't just the existence of humanity that shocks Velen. It's the sheer technological disparity.
Oh, man. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, the devourers consume matter atom by atom, which is terrifying. But 5,000 years ago, humanity was operating on an entirely different plane of physics.
They were manipulating the fundamental gravitational forces of the universe.
They were.
I am so fascinated by the mechanics of the weaponry described in these old records. The text mentions that human ships weaponized entire stars and deployed artificial black holes as missiles.
It's hard to even conceptualize.
Right. I want to try to visualize the physics of that. Throwing a literal black hole at an enemy like a hand grenade implies they had mastered the creation of Kugelblitz black holes.
Explain that for those who might not know.
So it's using incredibly concentrated lasers to create so much energy in one spot that space-time just collapses into a singularity. Then somehow they contained that singularity and fired it. They were weaponizing gravity wells.
The containment is the truly mind-bending part of that concept.
Yeah.
I mean, to hold a miniature black hole, you would need to construct magnetic or gravitational bottles of immense power.
Otherwise, the singularity just consumes your own ship before you launch it.
Exactly. It redefines the scale of conflict. It shows humanity wasn't fighting a conventional war. They were engaging in stellar-scale terraforming applied to combat.
And right beneath these terrifying blueprints, Valen finds the final line of the record. It is a chilling warning left by the ancient human commanders.
Oh, this line gives me goosebumps every time.
If the Devourers ever return, only Earth will know how to stop them.
So Valen brings this to the Council, and the chamber just erupts into chaos.
Obviously.
Because Valen quickly realizes these records weren't just lost by accident or, the degradation of time.
They were actively suppressed. The founders of the Galactic Council utilized top-tier quantum-level encryption to bury this information.
This forces us to analyze the central pathology of the early narrative. Why deliberately hide the very blueprints for your own survival?
It seems so counterintuitive. I mean, if I know there is a universe-ending swarm of machines out there, and I have the coordinates of the only people who know how to beat them, I'm broadcasting those coordinates on every frequency.
You want everyone to know.
I'm building religions around them to make sure nobody forgets. But the Council chose the absolute comfort of a lie over the safety of the truth. I think acknowledging humanity's power meant the alien founders had to acknowledge their own profound weakness.
I agree. The founders recognized a fundamental truth about political power. It relies on the perception of supremacy. To keep the records of humanity's sacrifice would be to force the Council civilizations to live in perpetual gratitude, which is just another flavor of perpetual inferiority.
Which brings us to the actual anatomy of this galactic betrayal. Because 5,000 years prior, humanity didn't just fight, they bled.
They sacrificed millions of lives to halt the first Devourer invasion.
They literally saved the universe. And the immediate response from the surviving alien leaders was to look at humanity, see how wildly advanced and influential they had become during the war, and decide they were simply too dangerous to keep around.
So they expelled Earth.
Yeah, they closed the hyperspace trade routes, scrubbed the historical databases, destroyed the monuments, and banished the surviving humans to the unexplored dead zones of space.
It stands as a breathtaking act of political cowardice. It was a calculated, cold-blooded maneuver executed at the very moment humanity was exhausted from saving them.
I have to challenge the long-term logic of this, though. I understand being intimidated, but humanity saves the universe, and the universe's immediate response is, "You're too scary, get out."
It's hard to fathom.
Is gratitude really that fragile when faced with a massive power imbalance?
The psychology of gratitude, particularly on a geopolitical or, in this case, galactic scale, is deeply uncomfortable.
How so?
Gratitude is a debt for billions of proud alien civilizations, species that built wonders and thought of themselves as the apex of evolution. Owing their continued existence to a single rapidly advancing species was politically unpalatable.
It created an unbearable asymmetric dynamic.
Exactly.
It's like owing your life savings to a friend, but magnified to a cosmic scale. Eventually, you don't feel thankful anymore. You just start resenting the friend because their very presence reminds you of the time you were helpless and needed to be saved.
That's a perfect way to look at it. Erasure became the ultimate weapon for the Council.
Yeah.
By mathematically and culturally deleting humanity from the history books, they accomplished two things. They removed a perceived future threat, yes. But more importantly, they erased the debt of the past.
If humanity never existed, then the Council civilizations saved themselves.
They get to keep their pride. I think it's worth asking you, listening to this, to reflect on times in history, or perhaps in corporate environments or your own personal lives, where the people who step up and fix a massive existential crisis are later marginalized.
Oh, that happens all the time.
Often, their extreme competence makes everyone else wildly uncomfortable once the immediate danger is past.
You're a hero when the building is on fire, but once the flames are out, you're just the intimidating person standing in the lobby holding an axe.
Right.
People want you gone so they can go back to feeling in charge. But the tragedy for the Council is that the fire wasn't out. It was just smoldering.
And now, facing total annihilation from the returning devourers, the Council is forced to swallow 5 millennia of immense pride.
They have to venture into the dark, unexplored sectors of space, following ancient forbidden coordinates to beg the saviors they betrayed for help.
The expedition they assemble is a testament to their desperation. I mean, they take the finest surviving ships from every major species, bypass the established hyperspace lanes, and push into the galactic equivalent of the deep ocean.
They searched the dead zones for years.
And then their long-range sensors pick up something that defies their understanding of physics. They find a structure larger than a planet.
At first, the alien admirals assume they are looking at a Dyson sphere, right? Like a massive artificial shell built around a star to harvest its entire energy output.
A reasonable assumption for an advanced civilization.
But as they get closer, the optical sensors resolve the image, and it's not a shell around a star, it's Earth. But it's an Earth that has been unimaginably altered.
The physical transformation of the planet is a brilliant narrative device to show, rather than tell, the passage of 5,000 years.
The details in the text are wild. The entire planet is surrounded by gigantic continent-sized engines. Planetary shields are glowing across the atmosphere, visibly crackling with energy.
Orbital rings stretch out for millions of kilometers, acting as dry docks and weapon platforms.
I want to try to picture the physics of moving a planet. You can't just strap colossal rocket boosters to the tectonic plates.
No, the acceleration would strip away the atmosphere, shatter the crust, boil the oceans. It would be a disaster.
Right. They must have built something like a Shkadov thruster, or manipulated gravity fields so that the planet is falling forward through space, contained entirely within that glowing shell of impenetrable energy.
It's incredible.
Earth didn't just build a fleet. Earth literally became a starship.
The implications of that engineering feat are staggering. It forces the Council fleet to immediately reevaluate everything they thought they knew.
It tells us exactly what humanity has been doing for 5 millennia.
They didn't regress into bitterness. They didn't just build a peaceful utopia to live out their days in quiet isolation. They evolved.
They militarized an entire biosphere.
They did, and that suggests something deeply profound about their sociological state. Humanity expected the devourers to return.
They knew.
Yes, they treated their 5,000-year exile not as a punishment inflicted by the Council, but as an extended preparation phase. They knew the galaxy hadn't actually solved the root problem. The Council had only delayed it.
So humanity spent 50 centuries building a fortress.
Exactly. And the tension, when the Council fleet cautiously approaches this terrifying planet ship, is palpable. Immediately, thousands of automated weapons lock onto the alien vessels.
And the text makes a point to note that the targeting sensors register these weapons as having moon-destroying power.
The Council is paralyzed.
Then a transmission finally comes through. A human woman in a dark, minimalist uniform appears on the bridge screens of the alien ships.
She doesn't yell. She doesn't gloat.
No, she just silently listens to the Council representatives nervously stammer out their explanation that the Devourers have returned and the galaxy is being eaten again.
And when they finish, she asks one devastating question.
Why should we help you?
That might be the most loaded question in the history of this fictional universe. It carries the weight of 5,000 years of suppressed history.
I can just imagine the absolute suffocating silence in that room on the Council ships. What possible answer is there?
There really isn't one.
You can't say, because it's the right thing to do, because the Council explicitly did the wrong thing when they erased humanity.
Right.
You can't offer them money or technology because Earth clearly has more advanced tech than the rest of the galaxy combined. They have literally nothing to bargain with.
The power dynamics in this single interaction shift entirely. The silence from the Council is an admission of absolute guilt.
They have no defense.
None. No leverage and no moral high ground.
Yeah.
Any diplomatic justification they might have crafted over the millennia crumbles instantly in the face of the people they wronged.
And my favorite part is that the human officer doesn't fill the silence. She just lets them sit in it. She lets them drown in their own historical guilt for several agonizing minutes.
He's so tense.
And finally, she speaks one single syllable. Wait, then the transmission just cuts out.
That single syllable is a masterclass in tension. The Council has handed over all agency.
They are entirely at the mercy of a species they treated as disposable waste.
They are forced to wait in orbit, staring at weapons that could vaporize them in a microsecond, wondering if humanity will save them or just watch them burn.
This sets up an incredible philosophical pivot in the story. Days later, a massive broadband signal arrives from Earth. It's the Supreme Chancellor of Humanity.
An elderly man who appears before the terrified alien delegations.
And he is meticulously calm. He systematically lists their crimes. He says, "You erased our sacrifices. You destroyed our history. You abandoned us to the dark."
Every word he speaks is a surgical strike against the foundational myths the Council built their society upon. He is forcing them to look at the ugly truth of their own survival.
But then his expression softens slightly, and he delivers this line that acts as the moral thesis of the deep dive. He says, "But humanity has learned something during 5,000 years of isolation. Great power means protecting others, even when they do not deserve it."
This forces us to examine a critical question about the nature of supremacy. What does it actually mean to hold ultimate power?
I mean, to me, this doesn't feel like traditional forgiveness.
No, not really.
It doesn't seem like the Chancellor is saying, "We forgive you, let's be friends." It feels more like humanity looks at the Council the way an adult looks at a reckless child.
That's a good comparison.
They view the aliens as almost beneath their anger at this point. Am I reading that dynamic right? Is it arrogance or is it pure utilitarianism?
The text points toward an evolution of ethics that scales parallel to their technology. It isn't just arrogance, it is the realization that they have reached a level of power where petty, vengeance-like, letting the galaxy burn just to satisfy a historical grudge, is morally beneath them.
True power, according to the Chancellor's philosophy, isn't just the capability to destroy moons or convert a planet into a starship.
Exactly. It is the moral fortitude to save those who betrayed you, simply because you are the only one who can.
Because if you let the Devourers consume billions of innocent lives just to punish the alien politicians who wronged you 5,000 years ago, you aren't proving you're better than the Council.
You're just proving you are as mindless and ruthless as the Devourer swarm itself.
Right. To withhold help when you possess the unilateral capacity to save the galaxy is a fundamental failure of morality.
The Alien Council failed morally 5,000 years ago out of political fear. Humanity refuses to fail morally now out of sheer principle. They have decoupled their actions from the Council's worthiness.
With that philosophical decision cemented, the narrative violently shifts into the terrifying, reality-bending execution of that promise.
Oh, the climax of this is unbelievable.
The galaxy is about to see what happens when a species spends 5,000 years holding a grudge and doing high-level physics homework.
And the scale of the deployment is beyond the Council's comprehension.
The text describes millions of human warships emerging from hidden deep space shipyards. And we aren't talking about standard cruisers.
Not at all.
These are titanic vessels, some larger than continents, violently dropping out of hyperspace. They are powered by contained artificial stars. The text literally says reality itself bent around their engines.
They aren't just flying. They are manipulating the curvature of space-time to jump instantly across the galaxy.
The alien fleets watching this deployment realize that humanity is no longer merely advanced. They have ascended.
They are centuries, perhaps millennia, beyond anything the Council thought possible. They have crossed a threshold on the Kardashev scale that the aliens haven't even theorized yet.
So we arrive at the final battle near the galactic core. It is an engagement of incomprehensible scale. Trillions of devourer machines swarming like a metallic locust plague against 1 billion human warships.
And at the center of the swarm is the Devourer King.
The central machine intelligence. The text describes it as being the size of a small solar system.
It's hard to even picture that.
Imagine a machine so vast that if you placed its central core where our sun is, its grinding, self-replicating gears would reach all the way out past the orbit of Jupiter.
Wait, past Jupiter, that is immense.
Yes. Just witnessing the sheer mass of it shatters the minds of the alien crews observing the battle. But humanity doesn't flinch. They just step up to the plate and the stars themselves tremble.
It is crucial to contrast the Council's initial failure against the Devourers with humanity's success here. The Devourers, as terrifying as they are, operate on a mechanical, almost biological level of raw consumption.
Right. They eat matter, they break chemical bonds.
But humanity's weapons, they manipulate reality in quantum states. They aren't fighting a physical war, they are fighting a physics war.
The descriptions of the weapons are mind-blowing. We are talking about artificial black holes swallowing entire sectors of the swarm.
Which ties back to what Valen found in the archives.
Exactly. I read a section describing quantum weapons that cause false vacuum decay.
Explain how that works in the context of the story.
It's essentially creating a localized bubble where the laws of physics break down, erasing devourer armadas from existence. They use reality-breaking cannons that tear through the fabric of space.
For 3 straight days, the universe just burns.
These weapons don't just blow you up with kinetic force, they delete you from the source code of the universe. So what does this all mean when you are standing there watching it?
Well, put yourself in the shoes of an alien council admiral watching this unfold. You are observing the very species your ancestors betrayed, casually altering the fabric of space-time.
To annihilate an enemy that was weeks away from eating your homeworld.
The awe they feel must be inextricably linked with absolute suffocating dread. They realize in real time that if humanity had wanted to, they could have unmade the entire Galactic Council in an afternoon.
But they didn't point those reality-breaking cannons at the Council, they aimed them at the Devourers. And in the climax of this 3-day war, only the Devourer King is left.
The swarm is gone, but the King is preparing to detonate and destroy the galactic core itself.
And that's when Earth makes its move. The entire planet-sized fortress drops out of hyperspace directly above the Devourer King.
The imagery of that is just stunning.
Earth activates a weapon it has kept hidden for millennia. It channels the energy from thousands of captured stars into a single localized beam that crosses millions of kilometers instantly.
The Devourer King doesn't explode.
No, it just vanishes. The quantum state of its matter is dispersed. The war is over.
It is the ultimate triumph of fundamental universal control over raw consumption. Humanity didn't just beat the swarm. They out-engineered the laws of physics that allowed the swarm to exist.
And the aftermath is just a galaxy-wide exhale. The tension breaks. Celebrations erupt across thousands of worlds.
Civilizations that had fully expected to go extinct within the month are saved.
Again,
Yeah.
just like they were 5,000 years ago. And this time, the Galactic Council officially restores humanity's place among the stars. History is corrected.
The pulverized monuments are rebuilt, but this time they reflect the truth.
Children across billions of planets are finally taught the actual history of their universe.
It is a dark irony that the galaxy had to be brought to the brink of extinction twice to finally learn its lesson.
Exactly. And by that I mean it goes even deeper when you consider the motivation. Earth was never a myth. Humanity had never been forgotten by those at the top.
The galaxy just chose the comfort of forgetting.
Right. And when the darkness returned, the forgotten guardians answered the call. Not for gratitude, not for revenge, but because they refused to let the galaxy fall.
The text notes that a massive new inscription is placed at the very center of the Galactic archives, right above the room where Valen found the drive.
Oh, I love this quote.
It reads, "Never forget those who stood between the darkness and extinction. Never forget Earth." But what's fascinating to analyze here is the inherent fragility of that history.
How so?
Well, the Council, driven by fear and pride, chose to systematically forget once. What guarantees they won't do it again?
I think the only guarantee is the power dynamic. They can't forget humanity now because humanity is too loud, too present, and too overwhelmingly powerful to be ignored.
They stepped out of the dark and forced the universe to look at them.
That is the core difference. Humanity is now in a position where they simply cannot be betrayed again. Not just because they hold the power to weaponize stars, but because they have reclaimed their own narrative.
They are no longer the exhausted survivors of a war. They are the undisputed masters of the reality they inhabit.
Which leaves us with a massive, lingering question to end this deep dive. Humanity saved the Council because, as the Chancellor said, great power means protecting others even when they don't deserve it.
Right.
But now that the Devourers are gone, humanity is essentially a civilization of literal gods living among mortals.
It's a huge shift in the geopolitical landscape.
They are a post-scarcity, reality-bending force of nature, sitting at the diplomatic table with species that still use conventional lasers and argue over trade routes.
It introduces a profound, creeping tension into the new peace. You survive the Devourer swarm, only to realize you must now live forever in the shadow of your godlike saviors.
How long can a galaxy exist peacefully when one species holds the power to throw black holes around like baseballs, and the rest of the universe knows, deep down, that they once tried to erase those very gods from history?
It's a terrifying thought.
You have to wonder if the Council's fear, like the very political fear that caused the brutal betrayal 5,000 years ago, is just going to start boiling all over again.
History has a way of repeating itself.
What happens when the grand museum you built to honor your survival reminds you every single day that you only exist because the people you betrayed decided to be merciful? It makes you wonder how safe those new monuments really are.
It really does.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the archives, keep exploring the hidden histories, and we'll see you next time.